win number 700. Also, the Edmonton Elks, they won their first football game in almost a calendar year. They have won 9 football games in the last 2.5 seasons. Now it's 6 with Trey Ford as the starting quarterback. Let Trey cook. This is the Green and Gold post-game show. The Edmonton Elks win their first game of the season, defeating the Saskatchewan Roughriders 42-31. Matt Iwanyk, Jay Milne with you here, live at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, where every day is game day, just off of Fort Road. And do I feel good? Everyone else, Tube Socks is here.
Tube Socks is here.
I feel good more because Socks is here. Trey Ford. Look, Javon Leake was great. But Trey Ford goes out there, and as the quarterback, we always focus on the quarterback. He led this team to a victory. If only some people would have called for this at the start of this season. If only some people in the offseason would have said, hey, maybe build around Trey Ford and see what this team could do. Hey, maybe when Trey Ford is in the starting quarterback spot, like we saw last season, it would open up the run game, and the run game would get going. What could have happened there? Your thoughts, welcome. 780-218-9999. That is the Parish Jewelers inbox. You could also jump in the nasty chat, where I'm seeing a lot of celebration right now as the Elks win their first game of the season. Jay, let's bring you in. Your thoughts on what we saw out at Mosaic Stadium as Trey Ford and Javon Leake lead this team to their first win of the campaign.
Well, first off, that was a great win. That was a great team win. We've talked about this all season, about the facets of the game, of offense, defense, special teams. Other than the first hiccup on the first play of the game.
I forgot about that, actually.
You probably did.
I forgot about that.
Other than that, all 3 facets were clicking tonight.
For the most part. For the most
part.
The defense is still a work.
Look, what we said, you and I, the key to the game was, and I'll read it verbatim, Elks front 7 creating pressure. They did that. They made Shea Patterson extremely uncomfortable in the first half. They went into a bit of a lull. Saskatchewan pulled back, but then they went back to let's go time. It's time to play. It's time to send pressure. It's time to blitz. I mean, at one point tonight, we saw a 7-man blitz. 7. There's only 5 other guys. Like, it was incredible. The defense held their own. We're going to get into it. We're going to break down all the numbers. But the other thing I wanted to do, which I've been waiting for so long, is to do this.
Oh, yeah, you said you weren't going to open up another 6 o'clock or longer on the show until the Elks win. And when did you say that? You said at the beginning of this show, on the kickoff show, and immediately the Edmonton Elks go win. For those listening on TuneIn and iHeartRadio and EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Jay just lifted up the 6 o'clock or longer and cans that are on special during games here at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, and drank it for those on YouTube. They saw that happen. I want to jump in the Parish Jewelers inbox, but we keep going because, look, at Edmonton Sports Talk, this is our first win with the Edmonton Elks.
I didn't know if it was going to happen.
We didn't know if it was going to happen. So people are very excited. People and Abuski in the nasty chat. No negativity tonight. And for the most part, we will leave it. Like this team still needs to improve on things.
Yeah,
we'll talk about some of those things, but we could focus mostly on the positives. I do want to roll through some of the comments coming into the Parish Jewelers inbox. Maddie was right. I was wrong saying the Elks would lose today. I sincerely apologize. Fine, people. I'll be quiet now. Coming in from Scalding Gore. Please don't be quiet. Barry, amazing. Play a mobile QB and win. Who would have thought? Tube Socks, who's behind us. Now that Rick Lawlisher is clearly making decisions on the starting quarterback, what other areas of football operations do you think he'll have an impact on moving forward? Thanks for taking my call. I'll hang up and listen. Well, his focus is on the sale of the team. Shaggy in St. Albert, I don't blame MBT for the 0-7 start, but when Ford starts, it is not pretty, but he finds a way to get the win, and the whole team plays better for him. Wasted first 7 games when you could have advanced Ford's experience and development. Instead, wasted the money on MBT, which you could have used on other areas of weakness. Chris Jones's legacy will be a stubborn and delayed Elks timeline back to respectability. Ford better be starter rest of the season, regardless of the record. Babush Stash, who had the paint disaster earlier today. We all knew that Kevin Brown was the issue, right? JK. Having Leake, holy crap, guy's a stud. You think it's all about the RPO being a threat with Ford under center. What a game. Big W. So we'll get to that, but a couple more I just want to read. Ed, there's nothing to celebrate. Fire everyone that kept him on the sideline. Everyone. Please, Ed, please let me do it. I'll make a large... he wants to do it. He'll make a donation to charity to be able to fire everyone that kept Trey Ford on the sideline. And then Dave, wow, what a week makes. I'm so happy for the fans and the players. I just wonder what could have been if Ford started the beginning of this season. Would have they been 8-0? No. They would not have been there. But I'll say this. I don't know what the first 7 games would have ultimately have been if Trey Ford was the starting quarterback. But like what we got in that in the Paris Jewelers inbox is one of the comments somebody said, forgot which one. Let me see if I can quickly find it. It's not MBT's fault, but this team, they play better when Trey Ford's in the roster and on the lineup. See you, Ken.
See you later, guys.
We saw it late last week. We saw it today. Overall, this team seems to have just that extra step when number 2 is behind center.
There's something different. There's a spark that is lit or has been lit and was lit tonight that you and I have not seen all year.
Nope.
Let's just get into it, okay? Let's start with that first play. The first play of the game was a touchdown return for the Rough Riders. You think, here we go again.
That's the type of game we're going to have.
That's where we're going. You know what then they did? They went on a 10-play, 3 first downs. Trey scrambled, Trey ran, Trey did Trey things. It led to a field goal, 7-3. Second drive, deep ball. Bang, hit it. Third drive, deep ball to Tevin Jones, gone for a touchdown.
Forgot he was even on the roster.
13
Not
to
gonna lie,
8.
to a degree.
Right? Then that leads to a 2-and-out. They had a sack. Defense came up. Guess what? Defense had a 2-and-out with a sack. We talked about this in the kickoff show. I don't know what... Well, I do know. I do know now. But that was the question. When they get these 2-and-outs and these momentum swings and a big sack that leads to a punt, what are they going to do with it? Well, the next drive, first play, deep shot to Hergy Mayala. Fifth, that drive ends in a Javon Leake touchdown, 20-8. They capitalized on the turnovers. The defense came to play. The defense had 3 sacks, 1 interception. They held Saskatchewan to 117 rushing yards, 223 passing yards. In the CFL, that's not too bad, especially the passing yards being 223 yards. And then you go to the end of the game. Look at my arrows here, Matty. This was the momentum going for the Elks. It was all Elks in the first quarter and about halfway through the second quarter. Then that faded away.
Well, the third quarter faded away. And I'll say the third quarter is where I will have the concerns about this team because it seemed everything they did right offensively in that first half, they got away from. It seemed like the play calling became a lot more conservative. They stopped with the deep balls a little bit. They were throwing a little shorter plays, and it didn't work. And that would be the one criticism I'd have about this team is that what they were doing in the first half, it didn't seem like they did it in the third quarter. I'm just going to run through the results of drives of the Edmonton Elks. First half, this is what they did offensively. Field goal, touchdown, punt. That's really good. Third quarter came, it was punt, interception, punt. Third quarter was not good. Here's their fourth quarter.
Neither was last game's third quarter.
TD, punt, TD.
Bang, 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 bang.
Like, they had a rougher third quarter, but you look at what they did for 45 minutes today in the first, second, and fourth quarter. It was incredible. And defensively, they did step up. There were moments you thought, they're breaking a little bit here. But for the most part, outside of the third quarter, the offense always responded. And I don't. When Trey Ford is out there offensively, he just brings that extra element too that makes it harder for defense. We talked about how good this Riders defense was. You talked about how good the Riders run defense was.
And I said that in the pregame. I said because of that, because their focus now is shifted to Trey Ford, that might open up avenues for Javon Leake to find creases and
wasn't
punish
just
them.
Him. Rankin. came in, and he got 60 yards. 276 rushing yards by the Edmonton Elks today against the best run defense. But this is something that I saw it last year. People saw it last year when Trey Ford was in. That's when Kevin Brown got the holes to run, and he rushed for 1,000 yards last season. This year, he wasn't getting those yards. And now they didn't give him the ball enough. But it was the quarterback. It was you put in that passer, the drop back quarterback from Taylor Cornelius last year to MBT this year. It wasn't good for their run game. And you put Trey Ford out there, and it opens up that run game. And then on top of that, Trey Ford is elusive. We saw it a few times today where he could have been sacked. And what does he do? He gets around and either makes a big play, or a couple times, it was just for a yard. But when you think about what the net gain was, it could have been 10-yard loss, and he gains a yard still, 11 yards. Like, I'm not going to lie. As president of the Trey Ford fan club and every Trey Ford fan out there, I feel really good today. I feel really fantastic today because everything that we've all been saying for months, we've been vindicated.
I think you should put your mic down and just go do a quick victory lap through the Century
You just want to
Casino Bar and Lounge. Yeah, I think so. Honestly, yeah, we're gonna watch him. Watch. There he is. Okay, he's going to enter from screen. There he is. There he is. Victory lap. Yeah. There. Yeah. He's coming back. I think that. I mean, that's warranted. You deserve
it. For all of us. No, it's not just me. It's all the fans out there that were wanting Trey Ford this entire offseason. And this makes Chris Jones look a little poor. And it makes anyone that kept Trey Ford out of the starting spot a little poor. And we will get to some other players on this team because there's a lot to talk about today. Javon Leake especially. But he's the starting quarterback for the rest of the season. That's what I would say today.
110%.
There is no reason at all to play a different quarterback, barring injury, knock on wood, wherever there's some wood here. He needs to develop. He needs to continue. And, I don't want G-Roy doing a lot for this team. Sign this guy to an extension. I'd just do it.
Can I say something?
Go for it.
This might. I just want to make a programming announcement.
Go for it.
Do you trust me?
We'll see.
Do you trust me?
Mostly.
Say yes.
Mostly. You went with MBT, not Ford.
We're not going to. This is not going to be a negative. This is not going to be a negative post-game show because I'll tell you why. The fans that have been here, that have been through this, deserve the victory tonight.
Yes.
Deserve the win. Deserve all the Trey Ford accolades. Deserve a team that played like a team for the first time in a long time. So we are not going to be bringing any negativity here. No, it's a programming
I want to bring
announcement.
one player up.
Matthew.
No, it's a good reason.
Okay.
I want to bring one player up, and it actually, as I was going to bring him up, Donnie M brings it up as well in the nasty chat.
That's my guy.
Where did this punter come from? Wow.
Yeah, he's the best in the league.
Julian deserves a lot of credit for today, too. A punter deserves credit for this team. He had some unbelievable punts where he twice pinned them within the 5.
Yes, twice.
One was right at, it's not even at the 1.
One skipped.
It was like inches.
That was incredible.
Inside the line, inside
well
the goalpost. He was unreal today. Punters don't get a lot of credit. He deserves quite a bit of credit today, Julian, for what he did because he was absolutely incredible punting that football today.
Matthew, he's deserved this credit all year.
Absolutely, but today was another level.
Today was crucial.
Today, it was a step up even more.
Okay.
I will give
then let's give credit due where credit's due. Boris Beatty was perfect tonight.
I said I'm not saying anything else.
He was perfect.
I'm not saying anything else.
Hey, listen, Linda, listen.
I'm not. You don't want a negative post-game show.
No, he was perfect tonight.
100%, absolutely.
He was perfect last game.
Absolutely.
We talked about it in the kickoff show, how this starts building.
Labor Day.
That's fine. You can be negative Nancy all you want. But tonight's not about negativity. Tonight's for you, the people, the winners, the people that get to relish in this victory because it's long overdue. And, I mean, let's look at this. The defense came through when the team needed it. And I'm going to say this probably so many times you're going to want to be sick about it. But the 3 facets of winning football is offense, defense, special teams, and they all delivered tonight, except for the first play of the game. They all came through.
They gave up one other big play to Alford.
The defense came through when
special teams
they
wise, I'm
needed
pointing
it, though, Matty.
Yeah,
the
100%.
defense came through.
Teams there.
Like
No.
late in the game, 7:39 left in the fourth quarter. They blitzed 7 guys and forces them into a compromised position. Now, albeit, as we said, credit due where credit's due. A Jew almost made it the catch of the century, dragging that
close.
toe. It was
That one
close,
was
but it was not. They had to settle for a field goal. At that point, it was a 28-21 game. If the defense does not send and Purifoy gets that sack, and then they're put, and I said it, I called it. I said they're going to have to go for the end zone here, because why else wouldn't you? Either you're looking for a touchdown or a penalty. They did. It didn't amount to anything. They settled for a field goal, 28-24. Then the rest is history. But then you go back and you look at, now they go up 35-24, and Bynum comes up with a huge stick on second down, right? I mean, the defense came through. That is the first game that you and I have witnessed that the defense stepped up at critical times. This whole season has been critical errors at critical times. Tonight, it seemed like big plays were made at critical times, and big stops were made at the times that they needed them. So, if this is the sprinkle that Trey Ford gives, I'm all in, because that was a spark, and not even to do that, then to go down and score again. Right? I mean, forget the touchdown at the end of the game. That was garbage. Like, who cares? That was just irrelevant.
I was even saying when they're reviewing it, just give them the touchdown, because let's move on. Let's get going. This
Let's
game's
get
over.
going.
To the defense, I want to point where they stepped up, because they if it was earlier this season, things would have continued poorly on this drive, and it would have all been gone. But the score was 21-20. The Riders were at the 1. The Elks were getting them to punt from the 1. Oh, it was 21-20 for the Riders.
I got that whole breakdown right here if you want it.
Roughing the passer.
Yeah.
Extending the drive. First down. Then there was holding on the play, by the way. I saw it.
Yeah,
my
don't
brother
worry about
texted
it.
me. There was holding. He thought so too. I didn't even tell him that I saw holding. My brother just texted me saying he saw holding. But on the play, ball thrown outside, Bynum makes a play, forcing a third down punt.
Taunting.
A taunting penalty. And that was a penalty. You can't do that. You can't go in the guy's face. But then they go out, and what do? Sack on that play. There was a rush, a stop of like a 1-yard rush, then a sack, then a punt. If that was, they made 2 big errors on that play. Don't want to take that away. They had roughing the passer. You didn't have to bring your hand down I think that was Morgan.
That was a tough one, though. Like, that's just a player trying to make a play and finish something. Like, you can't really blame him for that.
I'm going to blame him
the
for
taunting,
the penalty.
I would say, was stupid.
Taylor did that one. Bynum can't do that taunting. If that was the rest of the earlier this season, though,
what are you doing? This is supposed to be a shame-free.
If it was the rest of the season, they would have taken more penalties, and they would have allowed the Riders to drive down the field. They would have kept going down the field. But what happened tonight, they did make those 2 mistakes, but they settled in, they locked it down, and they forced the punt.
They got it done.
That was the difference between this defense today and the defense from the rest of the season, is that the rest of the season, they just kept making the errors. Today, they made a couple of errors, because you're never going to play a perfect football game. That's just...
You can't.
There's no perfect sports, except Summer McIntosh. They made their mistakes, but they didn't let that build up, and I think you said it at the time, it fueled them in that moment.
It did.
To go get that sack on the second down. Like, it almost fueled them.
I think it woke them up.
Right.
Said, hey, boys, let's snap out of this.
And that's where it's okay. I'm just glad you let me have that. Because they made mistakes to lead to that. But there was the positive that came out of that. Because if it was any other point this season, the Riders are driving for a touchdown that drive.
Well, and from that point on, the momentum was back in Edmonton's favor for the rest of the game.
They got the ball. It was actually that next play offensively was Javon Leake rushing 51 yards for a touchdown and taking the lead. And then they went for 2 points, got the 2 points, boom, up 7. It was the next because they punted, and then it was the next offensive possession for the Edmonton Elks. Boom, Javon Leake was gone.
Yep.
Javon Leake was unbelievable today. I've been concerned about Javon Leake's holding of the football this year. He's had 2 big fumbles. Today, he was absolutely incredible.
12 of 169, 3 tuggies, 14.1 yards per carry.
And we knew it with the punt return and the kick return. He's fast.
I didn't know that it was that
Pair
fast.
that up with Trey Ford's speed in the backfield.
But
is there a faster backfield in the Canadian Football League than Trey Ford and Javon Leake?
Well, I must say, to see Javon Leake hit those, because those where you just see a guy like, it was 2 touchdowns tonight where before he was even 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, I was saying he's gone.
Yeah.
Because those are seams. You bust through those seams like it's your life on the line. And guess what? Sometimes you're going to find a crack. Sometimes you're going to get your head smashed in. It's just the way football goes. But he was dedicated to hitting those seams. So now you got to say, okay, that was a better night for the offensive line. Now, do you think? And here it is. Here's the thing, though, because you have an elusive playmaker at quarterback that obviously Saskatchewan paid a lot of attention to. And maybe I should recant my comments from earlier in the week suggesting that Jarius Jackson committed to Trey Ford earlier than he should have and not played the game. Well, he committed really early, and Saskatchewan clearly committed to trying to prevent Trey Ford from totally taking over this game, but they forgot one guy, Javon Leake, because he took over the game. And with a guy with his, and I'll say with his athleticism, his demeanor, he's not a big guy. He's not going to just pound into the back of linemen. He is going to find those creases, and when he's through them, it's touchdown time, baby. And that's what you saw tonight. And that is a Trey Ford difference. That's something you will not get with Macbeth at quarterback. You just simply won't.
No.
But the first touchdown he threw to Tevin Jones, he sat in the pocket, climbed up the pocket, and then delivered a deep shot that was on target, on time, in the right play. Hit him in stride.
Hit him in stride so we could go and just keep running.
That's something you've said has lacked from Macbeth's game all year.
Yep.
Is underthrowing, leaving guys, coming back to the ball. So, hey, I'm the first to admit when I'm wrong. And I was wrong about maybe the
makeup of this team?
The makeup. And the decisions that were made.
The roster construction of the team. That was the frustration that myself and others had this season.
So I will eat some humble pie in the form of a 6 o'clock log.
Well, unfortunately, Chris Jones isn't going to be able to eat any humble pie because he's not here for this. But Jarius Jackson, he better keep going. Because if he was part of all these decisions with Chris Jones, he better realize that this is the guy to go with. But, if you're Chris Jones, imagine you could have still had your job potentially with this team if you're playing Trey Ford. Because I do believe even if I feel if this team was 0-5 with Trey Ford as a starting quarterback, though, there's a better chance that Chris Jones could have still had his job because it would have been the development of Trey Ford. But he went, I'm going to go win football games. He didn't win football games. Ethan from Airdrie in the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. By the way, this is the Green and Gold postgame show. Matt Iwanyk, Jay Milne with you here as the Elks defeat the Riders 42-31. We're at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge where every day is game day. You had a night out there.
You had a night, too.
And so did I.
Mr. Lean was leaning.
A whopping $10.12. Boom.
Boom.
All in coin. I can make it rain with those coins, actually.
Here's the crew, the Dill Pickle crew.
Look at that. Let's make it rain a little bit. Ethan from Airdrie. Hey, boys, Julian was phenomenal. The boys on defense stepped up when it mattered, and especially after taking those 2 second-down penalties back-to-back. And it's awesome to see the impact of Trey Ford when he isn't using his skill by having the Riders respect his skill, leading Leake to use his explosiveness for 3 touchdowns. What an all-around effort. I see that guy's back into the Paris Jewelers inbox.
Oh, just such an angry young.
Jason, the glue guy is the best when happy. That's when he's in his element and can cook. Trey can cook, and you could cook now. How is it doing a win post-game show right now?
It's different. It's different. It's different. I can be angry and happiness too, But no, honestly, you could point out and fine point things that were maybe not up to code or par or whatever you want to say, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you get the ball to the green and get a par. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you use your putter and skull it across the whole fairway the whole way. If you get a par, if you get a win, that's all that matters, right? So, yes, I know you probably want to see me get mad. I can't even get mad at the kicker.
No, they're just saying you're good. Like they're enjoying this out of you.
Oh,
they enjoy seeing you be happy.
Well, Mr. Sox was not looking forward to me being like, decent Jay tonight.
You didn't want him to be happy today?
Well, I did, but it just didn't pan out.
Everybody loves me in misery. But I will say this. I have eaten my humble pie, and I will say, Matt, you were right. I was wrong. You're the best. I'm the worst. You're handsome. I'm Studley. I can't see too many different differentiations there.
It's. I won't lie.
I do appreciate you took the victory lap.
What?
You took the victory lap.
Well, you told me to. So
I do appreciate
so we have that. It's there is a frustration out of me that comes from this because, like, what the hell do I know? What the hell do the fans know? And we had seen this throughout the entire offseason. And, like, there is a part of me that goes, and like you said, no negativity, but there is a part of me that sits here and goes, what could have 2024 have been if they start with Trey Ford and they build a different team around him? If they add different pieces, and are we talking about a team here that maybe has 3 wins? Are we talking a team here that maybe has 4 wins and is in a better spot to go get a playoff spot because they use the saved money? Again, not saying Trey Ford was just the answer, but that saved money could have helped improve this team and build this team in other spots. So when you go and in game 1 that he starts, he just gets a victory. Right? Like, they were 0-7. We know that they're a bad football team, but in game 1, he goes out into Saskatchewan and they get the victory. There's a part of me that goes like, Chris Jones, you really screwed up. You really effed this up this season, and you partly wasted this season because of his arrogance and his stubbornness.
Let me break this down. Let me break this down for you and all the listeners out there. I was not wrong about McLeod Bethel Thompson. McLeod Bethel Thompson was not the reason they lost. I was wrong about knowing that Trey Ford brought such attitude to the team, and maybe not even wrong, but just didn't understand it, didn't see it. And now you see what you're seeing. You see the decisions that were made from a Chris Jones as a general manager and a head coach, and the arrogance and the ego to not make changes when changes were needed, which ultimately cost him his job.
Absolutely.
But that's where the wrongness happened. And you know, we've sat in this very 2 chairs 7 times before this saying they just don't have it. They're missing. Like, I don't know what's going on in the locker room there. I don't know what's happening. You know, this guy can't even kick a frickin' a ball down the middle of the field, for goodness sake. Now you start to see what the it factor is. And maybe that suggests that some of the players or most of the players in that locker room also felt that Trey Ford should have been the starter. Maybe when Trey Ford was declared the starter, that's where that spark came from for people that think or teammates that think or feel he was robbed of the starting role. Right? I'm starting to put the pieces together. Because now we have, you know, I get it, it's a game. And Javon Leake played, and I mean, Javon
Leake is a huge star of this game.
This was a he
might be star 1 almost to a degree of this game.
He is star 1. It's not even close. Well, 3 tutties, 169 yards rushing.
Trey Ford's my boy.
14 yards per carry.
Trey Ford's my boy.
Yeah, take another victory lap. Have a hoot while you're at it, because something's off. That's the number 1 star. But I'm just saying, the pieces are coming together. We saw it late in the game against Hamilton. We saw it all game tonight. Trey Ford does not do all his damage on offense. Some of Trey Ford's value is within the team, and the team that's behind him, and the team that wants to go out and play for him. We saw a different team tonight than we've seen all season long, and it's not even close. We saw a defense that made plays when they had to, when they were asked to. It wasn't a perfect game, nor is anybody asking for a perfect game. But they made the stops they needed to make at the proper times. It's like, I swear to God, if I can go back and find our game 1 notes.
Yeah.
Critical errors at critical times.
Yeah.
Tonight were big plays at critical times. Right? That's the difference. That's the difference between winning and losing in any team sport. So Trey Ford's effect may not all be with his arm, with his legs. It could mostly be in that locker room.
Well, there's a bit to the locker room. It's also just, to me, it's how he elevates the offense a little bit more. It just opens up a lot more. Like,
there's no
saw
question.
Today, it opened up the run game.
Yep, no question.
Javon Leake was fantastic. His speed. I think Kevin Brown would have had a big game today. I don't think Kevin Brown would have went 169 and 3 touchdowns today. I think Kevin Brown, though, would have still had a massive game running because of what I saw last year with Kevin Brown and Trey Ford as the starting quarterback, and now what I saw today. The thing I'll also say moving forward is that the one thing we've heard about Trey Ford as a starting quarterback, at least after last year going to this year, is that at the late in the season, teams started getting film on him, and they were going to stop him. Well, now this is his 12th or 13th start in the Canadian Football League. There's film. There's film. Moving forward.
I know, but he's so dynamic that
I know,
even
but
film.
now it's not even like I don't want to hear from. Wait till coaches get the film on him. The film's there. The film is there, and he's still able to go do things. The Saskatchewan Roughriders maybe didn't have much film on Trey Ford for 2024, but they had film from last year, and they had the best run defense, and they had a top defense, and they couldn't stop this Elks offense today. They couldn't do anything against this Elks offense today, and that's, I'm not going to sit here and say the Elks, they're 1-7, so that's 8 games, so they have, 10 games left this season. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to win 7-8 football games the rest of the way. I can't do that yet.
Can
Although
you say
VR
7?
said 1 down, 6 more to go. But
Give me 7, Maddie.
Could this guy go out there and go win 3-4 football games the rest of the way?
Heck yeah.
Like, I don't see why
With
they
confidence,
can't.
yeah.
They've got 3 games against Calgary. They got 2 games against Winnipeg. They've got a game against Hamilton still. There's winnable games there with Trey Ford as a starting quarterback if this can continue. Now we just got to see it and continue and see how much this team could build off of it. I did say coming into this, I wanted to see Trey Ford his passing and when he looked to pass before he ran. I saw that today.
This is second best team in the CFL, right?
The Riders?
Going into tonight. Yes. They are. Behind the Alouettes.
Record-wise, I would take BC and the Owls ahead of them still. But
BC's not in the rankings.
In terms of, if you're going to go points and record, yes.
So, I mean,
100%.
By my, let me think, carry the 1 plus time. They could beat any team on any given night. And they've proven 100%. That. But you say, what would the difference be having Trey Ford in earlier? I mean, maybe, who knows? Think of how many close games they were in. Where if you just had a little bit of gumption, a little bit of spirit, a little bit of you-know-whatedness, maybe that carries you across the finish line.
If only some people were calling for that at the start of the year.
Do you want to do another victory lap?
Pardon?
Do you want to do another victory lap?
Well, that's where the frustration, though, comes a little bit tonight. That, I feel like I was taking crazy pills since February of, you're wasting this season. You're going to waste this season. And now we're sitting here going, did they waste this season? Because they let 7 weeks slide away. But back to just Trey Ford passing. I saw a passer first, runner second today. When he did run and he was a little bit more mobile, I don't recall a real designed run play actually for him.
There was not one. There never is.
And on that though, it was the pocket fully collapsed when he ran.
Yep.
It wasn't. He wasn't looking like, oh, my first option's not there. I'm gone. He looked to try to make that throw first.
Yep, he did.
And that's what I keep wanting to see from him and keep seeing that development, because that was one of the criticisms of him over the offseason for people saying he runs too much, he runs too quickly. And that was fair criticism. But he has to develop and learn from that, and we're seeing that. And this is a legit terrifying quarterback prospect. If this is who he is week in and week out, he's a top 3 quarterback right now in the Canadian Football League. If he could play like this week in and week out. I'm not going to put him as a top 3 right now. But if this is how he plays for the next 3 weeks, he's a top 2, top 3 quarterback in the Canadian Football League. Straight up.
Well, Hominid 352, great handle, love the creativity. Plus, Trey keeps the offense on the field, giving the defense the chance to rest and play better as a result. That's a real take. That is a real thing, where you're looking at drive sustainability, keeping the ball out of the other offense's hand. I mean, that made a difference tonight. You look at all the drive charts. You look at how many plays. I mean, their first drive was 10 plays. Think of how much time that gives your defense to get back together, get their breath, and then, come out and play better.
Elks won the time of possession battle 33-27.
That's a big gap.
I don't know if they've ever won it this season.
It's been close. It's been so close every game because I've looked at that stat.
Last week
33 to 27 is a huge stat. I mean, that's a 6-minute swing. That's huge. Humongous. 7
Ottawa,
says
they
VR.
so I'm just going back quickly here, see how quickly I could do this.
Chad Jenkins, I agree. Ford is bringing energy to the entire roster. Donnie M. Beatty coming along, Jay. I agree, Donnie. I'm his harshest critic, but you know how these kickers go. They get on a streak. They get comfortable. You know, he can start kicking the ball with the right part of his foot, and look what happens. He delivers.
The Elks won the time of possession against Montreal. 30 minutes and 21 seconds to 29 minutes, 39 seconds. Ryder game
I've
is the
seen
only
them
one-
all. They're like super close.
They were no most 29-10 to 28-41 against the Riders in the first week, so they still lost. No, the majority of the games are 33 to 27 ish for the other team.
For the other team.
So a 6-minute swing like the other way though, right? And tonight we saw them have the time of possession, but take the lead with that one.
I mustn't have seen it right.
So, and that was just a quick look through all the games this season. But that's one thing that they went out and did is they won the time of possession battle. And when you go win the time of possession battle right off the bat, that's going to give you a good chance to win. And there you go. I'm going to see if I could try to find their full season stat of it quickly here.
While you're doing that,
There we go.
I must say, did you as fans see the ball pushed down the field more tonight than any game that Edmonton has played this year? Deep shots. Taking a shot. Throw it downfield. See what happens.
Again, the only time we didn't see it was third quarter. But beyond that, they
and
took
look what
their
happened.
shots. They
They
took their
got
shots.
stale in the third
Yes.
quarter.
And that
Right?
was, I didn't understand
You said it when we were
that
watching
third
there.
quarter why they went that way. I didn't understand like what
Because it was working.
it seemed like they went away from their first half play, like what their plan for the first half. They just went away from it, and then we saw the spark of the Riders.
Guess why those shots are allowed to happen? Because you've got a guy like Javon Leake tearing you up on the inside. That makes everybody push forward and pull up towards the line. A lot of things open up behind you when that happens. It was just, a lot of people are coming at Jarius Jackson tonight.
Play calling?
I thought his play calling was pretty damn good.
And I say those people who are coming after him are probably focused on the third quarter.
Sure,
Because that's where it did, and that's what. And
focus
'cause
on
I
the
fully
other
agree
three
with them.
quarters.
I
Jesus.
agree with them on all of that because that third quarter wasn't there. But like, throughout
All in all, it's
the rest
pretty
of the
damn
game
good.
was pretty good.
Yeah.
But it was that third quarter. It was very conservative. Like, look, you wanted them to go for a third down earlier. They kicked the field goal.
No. You wanted them.
No, you wanted.
Oh,
one
I
earlier.
wanted them on that one.
You
yes.
wanted. It was earlier in the first half. They kicked the field goal. You wanted. And then
Oh,
I
Rain
wanted,
Man Matty over here.
Do I get another victory lap for this one? There was a point where it was 3rd and 2 from the
55.
50. It was the 50 of the Elks.
Sorry, the 50 of the Elks. Yeah, that's right.
And Tube Socks is gone. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Mr. Socks. Thank you.
It was
Thank you.
Mr. Socks. We're trying to do a show here. So it was 3rd and 2. They were at their 50. I was like, go for it. Like, things were a little stale. Take the chance. You said absolutely not. Jarius Jackson was absolutely not. He punts it. Alford returns it to midfield. So the Elks got a gain of, it was 5-yard different. That was it. I wish Jarius Jackson, it was like in those moments where you sit there and you go, be a little more aggressive. In the third quarter, all around, entirely very conservative, both in the regular play calling, and there are times where, like, the stats do say if you go for a 3rd and 2, they're in your favor to get it. And you have a guy like Trey Ford. To me, 3rd and 2, things aren't going well. Put him in his shotgun with Javon Leake next to him, and let him run an
a
option.
normal offensive
Let him run
play.
an option.
Or something. Just run your normal
let
offense.
Let him make a decide, do I want to give it to Leake? Do I want to hold on to it and run? And if I run with it, I could either run with it or I could throw it.
Just because it's 3rd and 2 doesn't mean you have to run the ball. Run a normal offensive play.
That's where I would also like this team. They're way too conservative in that. There was another time I've been screaming with this all year. It's 3rd and 22 or whatever, and they just do the
Throw
drop
a
pass.
5-yard out.
But he almost had the big return. That was that Rankin.
Rankin played tonight.
He was fantastic. Well, but
He played
that to
well.
me was that just shows what Trey Ford does for the run game.
Dusty
It
in the
opens up
nasty
rest
chat,
of
eh?
it. Dusty's in the nasty
Great
chat.
call, Dusty.
Good.
Wow, that was fantastic.
Nice eating the donut, Dusty.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, there's not many times you get to see Joey Chestnut in the real.
It's
And we
disgusting
saw
how many mini donuts he had.
343
That's disgusting.
donuts
That is disgusting.
in 8 minutes. Dustin ate one in 30 seconds. And then he turned his mouth. Then he turned his mouth to Susan and went, ah. That was great. That was awesome.
Did he text in?
Yeah, he said, Evan, fun game to call.
I can imagine. I was just trying to see if I could find time of possession here.
I mean, then we
like
talk
for the
about
season
Maddie's
coming into this year.
Then we talk about Maddie's big bet. Maddie, we found something out tonight.
What'd you find out?
Well, when you bet show, because when you bet horses, you win, place, show.
Yeah.
First, second, third.
Yeah.
I didn't know that when you bet show, which is third.
They just have to finish top 3.
Yeah, but if they finish second or first, you still get your money.
Because they finished top 3.
Right.
You're betting for them to finish in that
I thought
bracket.
that was like they have to finish third.
No.
And that's where he was making all these.
No,
He was clanging change
look
here,
at these
man.
quarters.
Look at these quarters
and
yeah.
all of this. What was I arguing with?
Big night for the fellas, that's for sure.
Chad saying, what is Matt even arguing? Duck Dad, he'll argue if the sky is blue. Who knows? What was I? Was I arguing just now?
I don't think you were.
Okay, well, they think I was.
I think you've been very
No, what I was going
cooperative.
with there was I think you be a little more aggressive and you go for it a little bit more.
Well, the
You
Rain Man thing, that's what we were
there's
talking
that
about.
part, but on top of that, it's just beyond that in the third quarter. Jarius Jackson's play calling was very conservative. It was dump passes, it was drop passes,
yeah.
it was short throws, and in the second, in the first half, we didn't see that. To your point, we saw him go deeper, and that's where Jarius Jackson deserves the credit, and why we're saying that, though I think anyone that's being critical of Jarius Jackson, they're focused on that third quarter with him.
Well, and that's when the term prevent defense comes into play. As an athlete, as a football player, or as in any sport that can have prevent defense, those are the two worst words you can say to a defense, especially if it's still a lot of clock left on a game. We are in this game. We are where we are because we didn't play prevent defense. We pinned our ears back. On offense, we took shots. We used the whole field. We got the ball out to Javon Leake outside. We let him rip up inside on delayed draws. We had pulling guards, Matt. We had pulling guards tonight. And I'm saying the royal we, not the Tommy we. But
I was going to leave that one because I'm trying to be.
I'm just trying to paint a picture, okay? That's what happened in the third quarter. I felt like Jarius Jackson went away from what was working because they developed a lead, and the lead was in hand. Screw that. Put the pedal down. You're where you are because of that tenacity, because of that aggressive play calling. It's funny how coaches can do that, and I understand. Because you then say, okay, we got to protect the ball. We got to be a little bit more conservative. And then thanks to the defense, they were allowed to bring that back in the fourth quarter, right?
Abutsky in the nasty chat. Earlier we missed this. He asked our thoughts on the O-line play. He also has, that's the best I've seen the Elks O-line look since last season's Trey bump. What do you make of the offensive line?
I thought it was very
Overall
good.
today,
I don't think.
sack-wise, the Saskatchewan Roughriders had 1 sack on Trey Ford.
Yeah, but here's how I would evaluate the play of the offensive line. Were we talking about them at the start of the show?
No.
Were they any part of the topic of conversation throughout our first 40 minutes of the show?
Mostly no.
Then they played excellently. If you're an offensive line and nobody talks about you, you've done your job.
But
that is a win.
And to Abutsky, they're like last time he seen them play this well was last season when Trey was in.
Well,
I think there's something when Trey is in there, it actually helps this offensive line. This offensive line can't protect the pocket quarterback. I think they struggle with that.
That would be a valid point.
And
they've had struggles with it.
Absolutely.
They've had especially last game.
This is that Trey bump that we're saying in that spark. It's not always just his play. It's all of a sudden it opens up the run game. It opens up. It allows for the best of the offensive line to be shown. The receivers, like we're not even. I thought we'd see a lot more from Eugene Lewis and Dylan Mitchell, but we didn't need to. Like you said it on the kickoff show that this is a very talented receiving corps.
Yeah,
and it is.
Yeah.
Today, like you could spread the ball to so many guys. Today, the top receivers are. Actually, Dylan Mitchell ended up with 93 yards, and Eugene Lewis 85. But Tevin Jones. I'm looking at the wrong game. Sorry. That was me looking up those time of possessions. All of a sudden thinking, I don't think Dylan Mitchell was
burnt
that good.
by that one.
Tevin Jones, 123 yards. The next closest was
what was his
41,
long play, though?
But that was 93 yards. But he had 2 touchdowns today.
Perfect.
He spread the ball out.
Matt, this is what happens.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different guys caught the ball today from Trey Ford.
This is what happens
He
when
was
you have a new quarterback.
252 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Trey Ford, 18 of 22.
Maybe
4 incompletions for Trey Ford today.
here's something
All
I'm
the
going to say.
criticism of Trey Ford in the offseason, they were going, he can't throw the football. 18 of 22, 252. I haven't heard from Lucas yet.
And that was my criticism. That's why I said, you're right, I'm wrong. Because
I wasn't looking for that. I was going after someone else.
I was questioning his ability to stand in the pocket and deliver the ball. And clearly he can do that. Now, you look at a guy like Tevin Jones. Tevin Jones has not been on the stat sheet for 7 games.
No.
He was tonight, and he was at the top of it. Guess what's been happening for those first 7 games? Guess who's been taking second-team reps at quarterback? And guess who's been taking second-team reps at receiver?
That's an excellent
Trey Ford
point.
and Tevin Jones. So I'm not surprised. That's why I thought a guy like Gavin Cobb might come in. But Gavin Cobb's been playing with the first team. Tevin Jones and Trey Ford have built this relationship on the practice field, developing, doing their thing in practice. And that's not surprising to me to see a guy that's, essentially unheard of, although he's somewhat of a decent name in the CFL. He's getting his due tonight because him and Trey have been working on that on the practice field, going up against the number 1 defense all season.
I'm sorry. So you, the guy who was in the parastrulism box at 2 in the morning ripping us?
Yes.
He's been going at us for the last hour and 40 minutes. The guy has nothing. Like we're not even responding, and he keeps responding like 20 minutes later, as if somebody responded. So, sorry, I just saw that one there. Edmonton Elks, they defeat the Saskatchewan Roughriders for the first win of their season, 42-31. This is the Green and Gold post-game show live on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tune in iHeartRadio as well as those watching on YouTube. Matt Iwanyk, Jay Milne with you from Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, where the prime rib sandwich was delicious today. It was their daily special for Saturday. You were going to get it, but then you went to the pizza. Then you're going to go back to the prime rib, but then you stuck with the well-done pizza. And it looked delicious.
It was so good. It was so good. And you know what? If you're listening to this and, EST is growing. EST is growing because of you guys. You guys, you gals, you peeps. You guys are the reason we're growing. So if you're listening to us just solely based off the Elks coverage that we're doing, hit that subscribe. Because there's a lot more to EST than just this show. Trust me. If you think this is good, him and I yelling at each other like an old married couple for an hour after the game, then I think you're going to be really happy with the rest of EST.
3 to 6 this fall, the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne coming to Edmonton Sports Talk. We will have an afternoon show from 1 to 3. Obviously, we still got the Nielsen Show, the Hangout, the Lock Shop, 2 Guys in a Goalie, Oil Stream, Hello Hockey, and the VIP Golf Show, which is tomorrow, 8 o'clock with Murray McCourt, Curtis Stock right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. I want to run through the stats here quickly. Trey Ford, as I mentioned, 18 of 22, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. He rushed the ball 5 times for 46 yards. Javon Leake, 12 carries, 169 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had 26 yards through the air. Rankin, 10 carries for 60 yards in this game. He also caught the ball 3 times for 14 yards. Tevin Jones, leading receiver, 3 catches. That's it. That's all he needed for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 93-yard touchdown catch. Mayala, 3 catches for 22 yards. Eugene Lewis, 2 catches for 41. Dylan Mitchell, 2 for 15. Curly Gittins, 2 for 11. Niles Morgan leading the way tackle-wise with 11 defensive tackles.
What's new?
The Edmonton Elks have 3 sacks. They also get an interception in this game, and as you mentioned with Boris Beatty, 2 for 2. Perfect, also 4 for 4 from extra points. Julian, he averaged 52 yards punting. What is this, in 10? I would assume that
Within
means,
the 10.
Yeah, they say 0 for him.
That's not right.
He had 2.
2.
He was at 2 inside 5. He had 1 inside the 1. So I don't know what that means. As for the Saskatchewan
Roughriders, lager
Roughriders,
is really good.
they're great.
And we discovered,
have it with lime.
Tell them about that.
Well, I've been wanting to put lime in 6 o'clock lager for a long time because I do like Bud Light limes. It's a great golf course beer. And with this, I've drank it and I was like, this would be good with a lime. And finally today, when Alex, our great server here, came by, I was like, can I get a lime with that, please? And I tried it.
Well, then she brought my glass with a lime.
Even wanting it.
And I just was like, yes, this is a perfect combination. It makes it go from a summer drink to a caps lock summer drink.
She also, our server, said she was at K-Days and she saw the 6 o'clock lager there. It was
Really?
at K-Days, and she tried it. She never had it, even though she was here.
Was it in like a random person's backpack?
No, it was there.
Oh, they
At
were
K-Days.
selling it.
It was being sold at K-Days.
Oh,
I did not know this.
even
I was very
better.
surprised. And she
Even
said she
better.
really enjoyed it, and it was a really good beer.
Well,
I don't
she
think she
should.
knows that we're a part of it, but yeah. So have it with a lime. As for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Shea Patterson, 22 of 38, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He rushed the ball 4 times for 30 yards and a touchdown. Frankie Hickson in relief of A.J. Ouellette for another week. 12 carries, 89 yards. He also caught the ball for 10 yards. Johnson was their leading receiver, 6 catches for 72 yards. Aju, 3 catches for 60 yards.
Harry
and a touchdown. Bain Jr. had 4 catches for 59 yards. Defensively leading the way for them. They had 3 guys, O'Clair, Milligan Jr., and Thurman, all with 6 tackles. They got to Trey Ford only 1 time, and they had an interception in the game.
And that time they did
Brett
get
Lauther.
to Trey Ford, that was a lose-lose blitz.
Brett
They
Lauther.
brought 7 guys.
2 kicks, missed 1, made 1 from 37.
And I like Lauther because he's a close friend of a
really?
close friend of mine,
Really?
Kevin Woodrich, who's
He's
the
a
head
good
coach
kicker.
of the Wildcats. They both played at St. Mary's at the same time, I believe. So I'm not going to call Brett Lauther the new Boris Beatty. I'm not going to do it. You won't hear those words come out of my mouth. But Boris Beatty was perfect tonight. But you will not hear me call or relate him to Boris Beatty at all. I'll never have that come out of my mouth. Now, in the Paris Jewelers inbox, I must say this is a great one. Orca Driver. The whole team plays at a higher level when Ford is on the field, like when Joe Kane returns in the program. Have you ever seen the program, Maddie?
Years ago,
It's like-
that's the one where he
it's a
says he
top
has to
3
hold the
football.
football in the classroom.
The
because he
run-
keeps
the running
fumbling
back,
it,
yeah.
and then he loses it, and it's
Yeah.
a big
Fumble!
deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did
That's
a Nielsen
Latimer,
show-
Steve
I did
Latimer.
a Nielsen
where he-
show draft back at when it was at 1260, and I had a few program players I picked, and I lost.
Why you got to bring up the drafts?
Huh?
Why you got to bring up drafts?
Oh, because I'm like you. I got screwed in one. I did a movie football
Did
one.
you say unlike me or like me?
Like you. I got screwed in one.
Jeez. Oh.
You and I both got screwed in that one.
Chris Sadaway, stoked to see the winning result. This team is set up to win any week, and next week is just as good as any other. CFL, baby. Anything can happen.
Well-
Isn't that a great way to summarize the CFL? Like, it really is. And now you've got this feeling of,
Well, what did
you know.
change? Because last week on the post-game show, before, like, after about 3 quarters, it was like, this is going to be a miserable post-game show. And then Trey Ford came in, and there was an excitement on the post-game show. Even though the Elks lost, there was an excitement because, oh, my God, look what Trey Ford did. Now we get to the game where he starts.
yeah.
And there was a buzz coming into it. You want to know something? BC Lions are coming to town next week.
Without
There's no
Vernon
VA.
Adams.
There's no VA. Now, they've got a great receiving core, so we'll see what Jake Dolegala could do. But if the weather is nice, that's going to play a factor always. Does that buzz translate into the crowd?
Is that a rhetorical question?
It is not.
Yeah,
Are we
of
going
course.
to? Well, I'm not. I hope so.
Well, what was
We'll
last week?
see.
What was last game's attendance?
17,000.
17,000. Now, that was tickets sold. That doesn't necessarily mean butts and seats. I am pretty confident in saying that this is a 2,000 to 3,000 seat bump.
Well, but there's that excitement now that's being
Yes.
built, and you go get this win, and look, if they play the way they did today, a BC team that doesn't have VA, it's on the Elks could go win that football game.
Yes.
Like they could go win that football game, and then I think it's the Ticats after that.
Yeah, and
I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to go rattle off 3 victories easily, but there's a sense I think that if you're an Elks fan right now, you could look at the table coming up.
don't do this.
You could
No,
say-
don't do it.
No, but
no.
What I'm saying is,
You've done this before.
Just let me finish. Let me finish. There's an optimism again as an Elks fan.
Okay.
You want to know something?
Cautious optimism.
Right, sure, but
But optimism
we go to
nonetheless.
those first few weeks, like like they lose to Ottawa.
Yeah.
That first game, no one's like pumped about the next Ottawa game. They're gonna they're
Right.
0-5.
Yeah.
They lose to Ottawa. Hamilton's coming to town. There was no optimism going into that.
Yeah.
After last week, there was an optimism after a loss because Trey Ford was coming in, and now there's oh my God, look at what this team could do.
Yeah.
Can they keep building off of this? Can they keep growing off of this? We're
Absolutely.
not looking for the negatives of this team moving forward. We're looking, can they take those positives and keep growing and find more wins?
Yep. No, you're right.
You gotta let me finish these things.
Well, I'm sorry. It's just
A Joe, Dusty says.
Joe,
nasty chat. I think that's the way I'm reading that is
Joe.
That's what I thought it was.
I thought it was a Jew.
So
I bad.
But like there's an optimism again around this team. Now they have to keep going to win football games. You got to go win football games to keep that optimism around. But I've always felt that this team just needs to win and fans will come back. But we'll see on Sunday when they take on the BC Lions.
Yeah, I mean, now you're right. There is the optimism.
The fans got what they wanted.
Yes.
They got Trey Ford
They
in the lineup.
deserved it, though.
100%. No, but they got what they wanted. They got Trey Ford, and he's winning. Chris Jones is also gone.
He won.
So now
He's not winning. He won.
Sure.
Let's clarify.
Fair.
Hey, you know,
He won last week. He was 3 for 3 last week. He won.
I ain't
He
saying he's
personally
not going
won.
to win
He personally won last
next week.
But now it's time. Okay, so now will we see that that translate into the crowd? There's not a lot left you can say against this team at the moment of like people going into the season. They want to Trey Ford. They're upset with Chris Jones.
I think it's going to take a little bit
win.
more. I think it's going to take a.
I know, but I'm not going to say like I'm not expecting 30,000 next week. But to your point, like it was 17, whatever it was last week.
Yeah.
Are we going to see 20 as the announced attendance because of the excitement? Trey Ford starting, Chris Jones isn't there.
Sunday night in the summer too, 5 o'clock start.
As long as the weather's nice. That's because that's always plays a factor into all this.
So
if it's stormy and it's bad, it's not going to go well.
Question of the show really played into tonight's, the way the game came together, right?
Well, depending on how you want to decide who's the winner.
Well,
Because
clearly
what's
by
the biggest factor in the Elks?
The people had said that the Elks playing better D was a bigger factor in the Elks' quest for their first win. The two options were, so what's the biggest factor in the Elks' quest for the win? That was our question on Twitter.
What would be the bigger factor? Both were going to be factors.
Yeah. The Trey Ford running the offense or the Elks playing better D. And lo and behold, that defense finally didn't combust. They did not allow the massive plays. They did not allow the mental breakdowns. Yes, they got scored on. Every defense will get scored on. But they did not allow the mental mistakes and the mental errors at critical times. In fact, they did the opposite. They took advantage of big plays at critical times. It was like watching a totally different team. And that might be the Trey Ford factor.
Well, I was about to say, as the president of the Trey Ford fan club, I might say the reason the D stepped up was because Trey Ford was running the offense, so A is the winner.
Well, it
No, overall,
it's a chicken and egg thing, really,
yeah,
right?
100%.
Are they playing better because they're playing behind the quarterback that they thought would be the leader of this team from the?
I don't know. Yeah,
I am serious about that.
I don't know if the team would have.
I'm dead serious about that.
I don't think anyone in the team was it would have been upset fully that Trey Ford wasn't the starter.
No, but
I think during the season that maybe changed.
I think that changed pretty quick in the locker room.
That locker room kind of went, maybe we should go to this other guy because we won football games with him last year. Why isn't he seeing the field? Why isn't he being used? Like that again. I got to go with some negativity and stuff. Often. Like this is even just makes me even more pissed off at Chris Jones. Like you're seeing what Trey Ford can do. Like why were you so stubborn that you couldn't even mix Trey Ford into your offense?
That was a mistake.
Like that's the thing here. Like
ego. That's a point you can't deny, but say.
Chris Jones went to show everyone I'm smarter than all of you. And you're not in the end for this reason. He's smarter than me in a lot of other things when it comes to football. I won't be that crazy. But when it came to this, he wasn't. And he could have still been the coach of this team.
Well,
and
the question will always arise is how could have that money been better spent instead of handing it over to Macbeth at $400 and whatever $1,000 he's getting? Could you? But forget it.
Yeah,
because it's in the past. You can't change it.
I got to move forward.
We're not. What's Dusty's favorite show there? The time traveler guy.
I don't know.
What is it? Shoot. He time travels back.
Looper? Jumper?
No.
I don't know.
Anyways, you can't go back in time like he would have.
I know, but
and change that. You have to live with it and deal with it.
And then our victory lap is the collective of the Trey Ford.
Yeah.
Everyone in the Trey Ford fan club, not just the president here, is to be able to go back and say, Chris Jones, you were wrong, and we were right.
Well, round of clicks for Maddie and the Trey Ford club.
To all you out there who are with me on this
You
one.
all deserve a
To all of
victory
them.
lap.
I can now stop with that moving forward. I will keep saying that I'm
Quantum
the
leap.
president of the
Quantum
Trey Ford
leap.
fan club. Because
Quantum
there's
leap.
only one president of the Trey Ford fan club in media in Edmonton.
And it's you, Marty.
And there's only one Marty on sports radio here in Edmonton.
And
That
it's
matters.
this
I'm
guy.
Sorry. Yeah, a bunch of people saying Quantum Leap jumping in now. I've never watched Quantum Leap.
Oh, it's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
every
know.
episode he goes back to a different era of time and solves something, and it was great. Great entertainment.
But-
That was like early
Futurama.
90s?
Quantum Leap?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
But still, this is. Do you think the defense? Okay, well, you expect the defense to be able to play like this the rest of the way.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they did today.
If they could do it once, they could keep doing it. This wasn't
Yes.
just a.
But there was a different tenacity to the defense today where they.
Do you think you saw something
You know,
different from Jason Shivers? Or was it? Do you think the players?
I don't think. Well, I do know that Jason Shivers dialed it up a couple times, and when I say dial it up, I mean he brought
The
7
house.
out of 12 players on a blitz.
We haven't seen that enough this year.
We haven't seen it once. 7 out of 12, we
Yeah,
have
not
not seen
that.
it once, and it was at
And
the
it was
right
It was
time.
the perfect time. It was the
Right?
perfect
It was to
time.
push them out. And it was just it was beautiful.
And it was on a
well
first
done.
down.
Yes, it was
Which
well
immediately
executed.
stopped. That's like it put them back for second down.
They were marching,
Yeah.
and ugh.
and he just killed it.
Like emotion has so much to do with the game of football. And that emotionally drained them. It was beautiful. It was awesome. Now they know they can do that. So why wouldn't I say that they could do that again? And carrying forward. I mean, they took on more of a bend but don't break mentality.
And I'm
today.
always fine with that to a degree.
Who wouldn't be? Nobody's pitching shutouts in the CFL.
Except the Winnipeg Blue Bombers
Well,
against the BC Lions.
something was wrong. Maybe it was rookie
Something
night
just-
the night of or something.
No one wants to.
Something was off.
That was a weird one. Well, actually, the Bombers in back-to-back weeks, defensively, they gave up
Yeah.
6 points against Toronto the week prior. That's it.
Yeah.
And then they gave up 0 this week. Maybe
Playing
that
well,
defense is starting
playing
to
good
figure it out a
football.
little bit. Maybe they're
They
figuring
sure
it out.
are.
Which
Yep.
isn't good for the Edmonton Elks because that's a team you're chasing. Like, back to the playoff look. Back to the playoff picture for 2024. And the Edmonton Elks sit 4 points behind Winnipeg, 4 points behind Calgary for third and fourth. Calgary's third, Winnipeg is fourth. Winnipeg has a game in hand on Edmonton, so Edmonton will have a game in hand somewhere. If they can take advantage of that, they're 2 points back. Calgary has a game in hand on Edmonton. They take on Toronto tomorrow to round out Week 9 in the Canadian Football League. I will say this, though. I see Hamilton. I see Calgary 3 times. I see Winnipeg twice. Those are the games I'm focusing on because you go snake. I said 6 games there. You get 4 or 5 of those. Depending what happens the rest of the spot, we're looking at a playoff conversation a little bit more throughout this season.
Ugh.
Last year, the playoff conversation
Matty
was done.
Mush is back.
Well, the Labor Day was... if they won Labor Day, we could have continued with the playoff chat. They lost Labor Day and was done.
Let's
They
just
won the
relish
rematch.
in one victory.
Oh, well, I am by saying we're in a playoff, right? Like, back to looking at playoffs.
Come on.
Last week, I was saying on to 2025. Today, I'm saying let's look at the playoffs
Okay,
for
okay.
2024.
Small victories. Small
We
victories.
now got to look at that. 'cause-
Small victories,
well,
folks.
Well, I say, you don't want. See, you think I get negative and you stop me, and then you don't want me to get too ahead of myself because I do look at the next 2 games and I see
This
BC
is
without
true.
Vernon Adams and I see Hamilton,
This is true.
and I see could they split that?
Yes. Why wouldn't they?
Okay, then you get Montreal, Calgary. Could they take 2 of 3?
Matt, they could have won every game they've played this year
Yeah,
aside
but
from
they
Hamilton
didn't.
last year.
But they didn't.
I understand that.
But now with this team, like I feel like
Right. So
but
maybe this is the
feel
difference that'll put them over the top.
The difference is for you at least. I didn't feel confident going into any of those games that they were going to go win.
That's right.
I didn't have confidence in this roster that they were going to go win.
Yeah, that's true.
Today, I had confidence in the Elks. In our pick'em, I picked them to cover the 5.5.
Yeah.
But I also felt good that they might go win this game. I like them next week against BC right now.
I
Because VA is not there.
110%.
If VA was there, it would be a different conversation. I would have a little bit hesitation because respect to the BC Lions at that point. But without VA and Jake Dolegala,
Well, and the way that the defense played tonight might give you some
that's
might give
my
you some
thing.
good
So now
juju moving
I actually
forward.
feel good going into that game
Yeah.
for the first time since probably week 1.
Well,
Maybe that first Ottawa game a little bit too. I think those might have been the only 2 games this year I felt somewhat good going into this season.
ladies and gentlemen, I've never seen a half glass full, Matt Iwanyk. on
know
the
why?
post-game show.
Do you know
And
why
I
you
must
haven't?
say, I don't know, but I think I like it.
You haven't seen it because Trey Ford hasn't been the starting quarterback yet of the Edmonton Elks.
Whoop-oo.
And I would have been glass half full all season had they gone that way to start this season. The next step is sign him to an extension on Monday.
Yeah.
5 years. 5 years. No, it's... I said it on the kickoff, I could see maybe this team giving him 4 games-ish as the starting quarterback. Depending on how it goes, could we see MBT back in? I think today it's done. He has to be the rest of the season. Partly because next year, he's your starting quarterback unless he can't do it. But based on what we've seen through his career so far in the Canadian Football League, I think he can do it.
Pretty damn good.
Again, the Edmonton Elks, they win games. Their 700th game as a franchise, overall, entire franchise. But over the last 2.5 seasons, they've won 9 games. 6 now with Trey Ford as the starting quarterback. Final thoughts for you?
Final thoughts are that the defense did what they needed to do. I say Javon Leake, yes. I mean, 3 tutties, 169 yards rushing, 195 yards all-purpose. That's a big game. That's the guy that gets the game ball. But the group that gets the game ball, at least in my opinion, is the defense. Because instead of making critical errors at critical points in the game, they made plays, big plays at critical points in the game. That's all. It's not rocket science. If that's a defense that Elks fans can see week to week, this is a different team. And that's the Trey Ford effect.
Well, I want to do a couple round of clicks for some people.
Sure.
Javon Leake, round of clicks. He deserves credit for today.
Huge.
Julian, the punter, he was fantastic. I want to give credit to the punter yet again.
I think he's
Couple
one of the
huge
best in the league.
punts. I don't know the punters that well, but I'd probably put him as one of the best. We've seen it all
He's
year. Today,
dialed
though,
in.
it was absolutely locked in and within the 1, within the 5, late in that game, absolutely incredible. Tevin Jones for stepping up. Round the clicks for Tevin Jones. And a great point by you earlier, going that he would have been on that second team.
They've been understudying
with
on
Trey Ford
against
so,
number 1 defense.
There you go, and Trey Ford, my boy. You did me proud. Tears are going to come later. If I had a heart, tears would come.
If he had a heart.
But
Like
to
the
all the
Grinch
Trey
over
Ford
here.
fans out there, to everyone who called for Trey Ford all year and all off season, we did it. We did it. We got our vindication. And now we'll see what the Edmonton Elks 2024 season could continue to be moving forward. Their next game, it is next Sunday, which I believe is the 11th of August. They are taking on the BC Lions at Commonwealth Stadium. Green and Gold kickoff show live right here from Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, where every day is game day. Gets going at 4 o'clock right here at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tune in iHeartRadio, as well as those watching on YouTube. So coming down, join us. We had Ken here and his buddy Greg. We had Tube Socks here. Atif was here. The Dill Pickle Hockey Show guys were here.
In full effect.
They were here in full effect. So come on down. LRT's right there, so you can head on down to the game. There's a lot of people that come by afterwards. We see them in their Elks
this place
jerseys.
is buzzing right now.
Daily special next week. It is the Surf and Turf plus the game day special on every Elks home day game, an hour before the game and an hour after. Cheese and jalapeno smoky plus 6 o'clocker lager on special as well. So come on, join us next week. Thanks to everyone for tuning in to the post-game show right here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Edmonton Elks get their first win of their season, 700th in franchise history. They defeat Saskatchewan Roughriders 42-31. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, also for jumping in the Nasty Chat and into the Paris Jewelers inbox. On behalf of Jay, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, VIP golf show right here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Stingers playoff game against Battle of Alberta tomorrow.
I'll be there.
6 o'clock down at the Expo Center. You could also catch it right here in Edmonton Sports Talk. Plus, we'll have some Riverhawks action tomorrow and on Monday as they're looking to close in on a playoff spot. Once again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and let Trey cook. Have a good night now.